What is going on, my brethren? Welcome to another MLB The Show 20 video. I'm going to be going over more stuff for Stage 3 Team Affinity in this one. SDS dropped a bombshell on us that these cards would be sellable and prestigeable right before they released, which is super cool. So in this video, I'm going over the top 10 cards that benefit the most from being prestiged out of the Stage 3 Team Affinity release. I want to make it very clear, obviously every card gets better as a prestige. Every attribute goes up by 3 when a card is prestiged. This video is just going over which ones you should probably prioritize and which cards get the most benefit by being prestige. So if you're new to the channel, please subscribe for more MLB The Show 20 content and drop a like on the video. It helps me out a ton. Let's jump right into it. Wanted to point out before we get rolling on this too that it's important to know that not all prestige programs are equal. The hardest part of prestiging a card from my experience for hitters is getting runs and RBIs. And the hardest part about prestiging pitchers has been strikeouts. So that means because these stats for these programs are pulled from real life, guys that hit for a lot of power or struck out a lot of people in real life are harder to prestige than others. So that means in game, the contact hitters and the contact pitchers are actually easier to prestige, easier to get the stats done. The best example of this that I could find, let me hide my face really fast, is Jim Palmer versus Orel Hershiser. Jim Palmer requires 147 innings and 88 strikeouts, while Orel Hershiser requires less than that at 126 innings and 86 strikeouts. So much harder to prestige Jim Palmer despite Orel Hershiser being far and away the better card. You can also notice this with the contact hitters. Someone like Michael Young, only 87 hits and nothing else above 40. So this is a very easy prestige to do. But again, Michael Young, not the best card in the game. So if you're a completionist, it's important to remember that you don't have to do all 30 of these. Please take your time, prestige some guys that you want to prestige. But overall, it's definitely easier to prestige people that hit for contact in real life or pitched to contact in real life. Just wanted to point that out. One more example, Jason Kendall needs 97 hits, but only 26 for extra bases and 28 RBIs. That is literally nothing. Forgot to mention that these cards are ranked in order, so the number 1 card is going to be the card that I think benefits the most from being prestiged. Starting off at number 10, we have Lou Brock. This guy didn't really jump off the page at me as a prestige at first because his base card already has 99 speed and 99 stealing, but he hits a couple of meaningful thresholds from being prestiged. One, he gets over 80 power versus left, which is a perfect fly ball threshold as far as we know. And additionally, he hits 75 fielding as a prestige card, which means at a secondary outfield position, he will still have silver fielding and not bronze, as he does on his base card. So the Prestige Lou Brock allows you to play your 99 speed in center field if you so choose and still have silver fielding. I'm still kind of sketched out about Lou Brock's defense, but there's no denying that he definitely gets better as a prestige card. Number 9 is John Smoltz. Obviously, we know that pitchers usually benefit the most from being prestige because they get velocity changes as well as attribute changes. But I think Smoltz as a prestige is kind of sneaky good because of the splitter changeup dynamic that he has in his pitch repertoire. So his base splitter is 88 and his base changeup is 82. As a prestige, his splitter gets harder and his changeup gets slower. So instead of a 6-mile-an-hour difference between his splitter changeup, it's now an 8-mile-an-hour difference, which I think is a big deal because those pitches are going to look exactly the same out of the hand. So I think Prestige Smoltz is going to be helped a lot by these changes in velocity. Also, he gets +1 velo to his fastball, which means he can hit 100 miles an hour maxed out on that as well. So as far as cards improving from their base card to their prestige card, I think Smoltz definitely makes the list. Number 8, and probably could be listed higher, is Kaline. This card turns into probably the best defensive right fielder in the entire game as the prestige version of himself. Goes up to 99 fielding, 96 arm, and most importantly gets +3 to reaction, which puts it over 90, which is a big deal for getting jumps on the ball in the outfield. He also gets the +3 speed, which is going to help him a lot. Just going to be a defensive maniac in right field. Also, hitting wise, he hits 90 power instead of 87, so yeah, Kaline as a prestige is a monster. This card defensively is insane. Number 7 on the list, Don Mattingly. Pretty obvious why he's on here. He gets over 80 power versus both sides as the prestige version of himself. Also, a little bit of a sneaky thing, he hits 95 fielding, which means you could, in theory, play him in the outfield and he would have diamond defense. I don't know how I feel about that with the 43 speed, but it is a real thing. So, Don Mattingly, 7th on the list because he turns into a card that hits both power thresholds versus both handedness of pitchers. Number 6 was someone I really didn't think about until someone mentioned it on stream, is Jim Thome. The reason Jim Thome's on here is because as his prestige version, he gets up to 65 fielding, which means you can play him at third base with a bronze shield instead of a common shield. So that's a pretty sketchy way to play, honestly. I don't value third base defense very high, and I think bronze shield is probably good enough. Just something to think about, gives you a lot of positional versatility with Jim Thome because you are going to have bronze defense at third instead of common defense. And historically, getting left-handed power bats at third base has been a little bit difficult in the meta, so this could create a unique opportunity for you to play Jim Thome at third if you get him prestige. Number 5 on the list, Orel Hershiser, just because he's already a beast as is, and his prestige version pretty much gives him more velo than he had before. His sinker and cutter and slider all gain velo. His curveball and changeup all lose velo, so it just increases the speed differential even more for this crazy good card. Also gets the walks per 9 up to 95, and his velocity actually gets a +7 from the changes to his pitch repertoire. So prestige Orel, gonna be a monster. 121 stamina, you can throw him as long as you want pretty much. This card is just a beast all around. You're gonna be seeing a lot of prestige Orel Hershiser in the next couple weeks. One more cool thing I wanted to point out with Hershiser before we move on to the next card is that his prestige program is actually very easy to do compared to other pitchers because his strikeouts required are much lower than his innings required. So they pull these stats from real life, and so a lot of pitchers have hard prestige programs because you have to actually pitch more innings than required to hit the strikeouts goal. Orel is the opposite. You should be able to get 86 strikeouts in 126 innings, so basically all that's required for prestiging this card is pitching 126 innings, which is pretty cool. At number 4 on the list, we have new legend Tom Henke, closing pitcher from the Toronto Blue Jays. Relievers are some of the best cards in the game to benefit from being prestiged for one thing, and that is their stamina. Getting a +3 to stamina is such a bigger deal for closing relief pitchers than any other starting pitchers or any other types of pitcher in the game. Going from 30 to 33 stamina is an extra about 5 pitches in an outing before you get into yellow energy. It's a really big deal. Also, his slider gets thrown harder as a prestige. Obviously, his hits per 9 goes up by 3, and his walks per 9 goes up. Everything looks good about Tom Henke, and I really think the increased stamina is a big deal for a card like this. It's the same reason why Prestige Mariano Rivera gets a huge boost from being prestiged as well. Number 3 on the list, Eric Davis. You guys already know my infatuation with Eric Davis and with cards like this in general. The reason he's so high on the list, he hits 99 speed and 99 stealing as a prestige card. So in center field, he's going to have diamond defense, 96 reaction with 99 speed. He's literally going to run down everything, on top of having almost 100 power versus right, 115 power versus left, and he's going to be able to steal at will. This card is a prestige, just goes way over the top. I mean, 99 speed, 99 stealing with everything else this card brings to the table is just completely absurd. Number 2 on the list may surprise some of you guys. Want to remind you that this is a list of cards that benefit the most from being prestiged, not a ranking of the best prestige cards. Let me get that out of the way in the beginning. But there's a lot going on with Dwight Evans that makes his prestige card so much better than his base card. First off, he gets over 90 contact and power versus rights by being prestige. Both of those were below 90 before. He also gets up to 97 fielding, which means you can play him at first base, left field, or center field, his secondary positions, and he will still maintain diamond defense, which is a big deal in case you want to play this guy in left or at first, even in center, like I said. And he gets some really nice speed from being a prestige card. So as far as cards go that improve from their base card to their prestige card, this has got to be towards the top of the list. I mean, this man just takes off as a prestige. And finally, number 1 on the list, once again for defensive reasons, is Andre Dawson. I love Andre Dawson on this game, and his prestige version is just such a better card than his base version because of his fielding. With all the good diamond center fielders we have in the game right now, Getting his fielding up to 96 as the prestige version of himself is a big deal for a card like Andre Dawson, because you can then play him in left or right with diamond defense. Also, he gets the +3 speed up to 88, which is going to help you defensively as well. Andre Dawson is #1 on this list because he is a guy that you definitely want to have in the corner outfield, especially getting the boost up to 99 arm strength. And you're allowed to do that with diamond defense once he's prestiged, and obviously, like I said, the speed helps a lot. Just can't stress enough how much better this card gets as a prestige. I personally will probably be rocking Eric Davis in center field and Andre Dawson in right field for a very long time. So that's gonna do it for the video. If you made it this far, I appreciate you a lot. Let me know down in the comments section below if you are gonna go for any of these prestige cards and who you're targeting first. Let me know if I missed anyone important. Obviously, a lot of the pitchers I left out, but pitchers in general just get way better as prestiges, so I just wanted to point out a couple good ones. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you for all the support this year. I love all you guys so much. Take care. I'll see you next time.